There's a moment in my life that I'm always going to remember. It's a moment that's helped me deal with situations I get put in now. And I was probably at the most vulnerable and weakest point of my life. It's a moment that I realised there's not one of me, there's two. I was 18 years old and I went into hospital to have a hernia repair. And as I was coming around from the operation, I seizured for 8 hours. The seizures caused short-term memory loss, lack of speech, and I was paralysed from waist down. As the days went on, everything started coming back. My speech came back, my memory, but I was still paralysed. When I said to the doctor, I need to get better soon, I'm going dance college in 6 weeks, he said, dance college? You're never going to walk again. You are never going to walk again. I remember feeling nothing. I was empty, I felt numb, my family were around me, and I just had a brave face on. But then 9 o'clock came around, and visiting hours were over, and I was on my own. I started panicking. I started asking questions, fearing the future, fearing the unknown. But then I realised I felt like this before, this emotion that I was feeling. But how? I'd never been paralysed before. And then I thought back. I was 6 years old, and I was lying in bed at home, and I started thinking about death. And I realised that I'm going to die one day. And not only am I going to die, but my parents are going to die, and my grandparents are going to die. And I remember feeling sick, and I had butterflies, and my heart was thudding, my chest was thudding, my head, it was getting worse and worse. I felt lightheaded. So I jumped out of bed, and I ran downstairs to my mum and dad, and I just started speaking about something completely irrelevant to them to distract that negative thought in my head, the power of distraction. But why at 18 years old, laying paralysed in a hospital bed, did I feel the same way I did at 6 years old thinking about death? And then it occurred to me. It wasn't me feeling like this. It was my 6-year-old self, my inner child. But my parents weren't around this time to fix it. It was my turn. I want you all to imagine yourself on the playground as a child. You go up to a group of children to play with them, and they turn their back on you. They don't want to play with you. You're upset, you're confused, you don't understand. What would you, who you are now, say to your child, your younger self? And that's exactly what I said. Esmee, I've got you. We're going to be okay. Now, I didn't know we were going to be okay, and I didn't know what I was going to do. But the interesting thing was, my inner child trusted me. And that's when I started learning more about the child. A child will trust an adult when you tell them it's all going to be okay. Yet as adults, we find this very hard to trust. My child also taught me, when I was going through my rehab and I was learning to walk again, not to give up. Because when we were babies and we were learning to sit up on our own, we failed on average 2,000 times before we managed to sit up on our own. And the only reason we got to this point is because we didn't know the concept of giving up. We wasn't born with it. We learned to give up through teachers, coaches, and parents. So through this experience and learning this, I managed to get through a horrible situation that I was put in. Now, I'm not saying I can fix all of your problems. And I'm not saying I can stop bad situations happening to you, because they're going to happen over and over again. And they're going to happen to me. But I can tell you how you can deal with this situation. When things go wrong in life, you have two options. Option one is you become the inner child. You throw your toys out of the pram, you get angry, you get upset, you get sad, you rely on other people to fix it. We all have that one friend that comes to us with the same problem over and over again. And every time we fix it, they'll still come back. What they're doing is taking their inner child out, passing it on to us. We're looking after it and fixing it and giving it back to them. But they're not growing from this. They're not getting stronger. And that brings me on to option two. You take care of your inner child. Who you are right now, the experiences that you've been through, the emotions that you've had to tackle have made you who you are. How lucky are you to have you on demand? And that's you taking care of that inner child, making it feel safe. So I'm going to leave you with this. When life seems unfair and you think the world's coming to an end and you don't know what to do anymore, try doing what I did. I looked in the mirror and I said, I am Esmee and I've got you. Thank you.